Hello and welcome back to Dukascopy TV. I'm Ben Jones. The Bank of Japan is confident that the current monetary stimulus programme is enough to help the economy recover and reach the inflationary target of 2%. So the programme has remained unchanged for the moment. But will this be enough in the future? Joining me on the line to discuss this is Fung Siu from the Economist Intelligence Unit. Now, Fung, the Bank of Japan have decided against changing current monetary stimulus, as policymakers have stated that Japan's economy can maintain a recovery. What's given them such confidence recently, and do you think it was the right decision?
The Bank of Japan has went on a remarkable journey last April and adopted a quantitative easing program that they call is quantitative as well as qualitative. So what they've done is basically pursued an ultra-loose monetary policy, and the policy setting has actually been maintained now since last April, and they're hoping to expand the monetary base significantly, and this policy is supposed to last until 2014. They're pretty confident that what they have done is actually help to raise inflationary expectations. The prime aim of monetary policy from the Bank of Japan is to reflate the economy. And so far, the consumer price index has actually turned from negative way back in 2013 to a very strong 1.5% increase in February. So at the moment, they're extremely confident that they are going to, with the monetary policy, be able to hit an inflation target of 2% for this whole year. So it's an average of 2%. And this is for core inflation, which is basically your overall price index minus fresh food items. So they're pretty confident they're almost there. At 1.5, we're only 0.5 away. And also, on top of that, given the fact that we've got the consumption tax going in, they're already pricing that into their forecast. So they're almost there. They don't need to actually make any policy adjustments. Their goal, again, is just 2% inflation.
Now, you mentioned the sales tax increase. How do you think it will affect Japan's economy going forward? Do you think it could cause any change in monetary stimulus?
No, actually, because what it is the Bank of Japan has this goal of 2% inflation. It's already factored in that the increase in the consumption tax will push the overall price of the consumer prices to something like 2.7%. So, in fact, what's happened is that the consumption tax actually aids them and pushes them even closer to their goal, possibly exceeding it. We at the Economist Intelligence Unit don't think that they're going to exceed this target. You know, they will experience some policy success. But for the time being, it seems as if the consumption tax will certainly help them achieve their inflation target. That said, the consumption tax does and will have quite severe implications on private consumption. Already, Bank of Japan and also other forecasters are saying that the economy is going to contract. So real GDP, which measures the output of the economy, will contract in the second quarter of this year on a quarter-on-quarter basis because consumers will be shocked by the increase in consumption tax and they will suspend spending. Having said that, the government has already thought ahead and they've brought in a fiscal stimulus package that is worth as much as the amount of money that's been taken out of the economy via the tax increase.
And finally, there's an argument that if inflation continues to rise, then the BoJ might have to consider tapering their QE programme by the start of 2015. However, others feel that Japan's economy will need a boost in stimulus as early as July to help it recover. Where do you stand on this?
Just to bear in mind that the consumption tax comes in two phases. What's just happened in April is for the consumption tax to go up from 5% to 8%. A little bit later on this year, possibly into next year, the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is going to have to decide whether he goes through with phase 2 of the consumption tax, which comes in October 2015. At the moment, there is an awful lot of speculation that the Bank of Japan should do more because there's this idea the consumption tax increase actually might have a much more severe impact. I think that tapering is one of those difficult questions to ask because what the Bank of Japan will want to do is to have solid evidence about the effect of the consumption tax before they even think about tapering because there's another tax around the corner. So what's likely to happen for the time being is that the Bank of Japan will stick by its guns and say, we will actually still maintain our policy settings as they are, maintain them until the end of 2014. However, the minute that we get second quarter GDP data out, they will then make a decision whether they can actually embark on tapering. And even when they go on tapering, it's not going to be similar to the way that the Fed has done it, the Federal Reserve in the US. The Federal Reserve has been running that program for a little while, and it's been open. The Federal Reserve never indicated when it was going to close the policy. For Japan, they've always said, and for the Bank of Japan, they've always said that they will actually end policy by expanding the monetary base by the end of 2014. So, if you like, I don't think the Bank of Japan will give markets forward guidance. However, towards the autumn months of this year, when they get a bit of an idea of what the impact of the consumption tax will be on the economy, then they'll start thinking about maybe altering their policy settings. My thinking behind it is that possibly they will actually go for the continued extension of the monetary base, but instead of buying 7-year JGBs, they may actually opt to go back slightly tighter policy of actually buying 2-year JGBs. I do expect them to keep on expanding the monetary base going forward, simply because we've got another consumption tax around the corner, something that I think that Shinzo Abe will go ahead with at the end of the day.
Thank you very much for your insight today, Fung. That's all from me for today. I'll be back tomorrow though with a look ahead at the FOMC meeting minutes, so stay tuned. But for now, goodbye.